So Vice President Vance is someone to watch in this regard. There's really only four people to watch, in my opinion: the president, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and the Vice President, because the messaging has been pretty controlled by the White House, which is very disciplined, and I think that's the correct approach. The Vice President spoke to, I think it was Jesse Waters yesterday, if I have that correct. Let's play cut 11, please.
The president has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish, and there's just no way, I said this before the conflict started, I'll repeat it again, there's just no way that Donald Trump is going to allow this country to get into a multi-year conflict with no clear end in sight and no clear objective. What is different about President Trump, and it's frankly different about both Republicans and Democrats of the past, is that he's not going to let his country go to war unless there's a clearly defined objective. He's defined that objective as Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and has to commit long term to never trying to rebuild their nuclear capability. It's pretty clear. It's pretty simple. And I think that means that we're not going to get into the problems that we've had with Iraq and Afghanistan.
I honestly have no problem with any of that. And you know he's not coming from a place of being a warmonger. He is the favored son of the anti-war Republican Party right now, the anti-war coalition within the MAGA. Vance is their guy, and I think that's a very clear explanation. That's exactly where I'm at. So again, I always track Vance because I do think he's got often the best talking points, and I think that's just right on the money. And I want you guys to contrast this with Barack Obama talking about the Iran deal that he was trying to forge in 2015. It really was the signature accomplishment of his second administration, was this horrific Iran deal. Let's play cut 5, please, guys.
It is true that if Iran lives up to its commitments, it will gain access to roughly $56 billion of its own money. But the notion that this will be a game changer, with all this money funneled into Iran's pernicious activities, misses the reality of Iran's current situation. Iran's leaders have raised the expectations of their people that sanctions relief will improve their lives. Even a repressive regime like Iran's cannot completely ignore those expectations. And that's why our best analysts expect the bulk of this revenue to go into spending that improves the economy and benefits the lives of the Iranian people.
So where did that money go? It went to terror proxies. It went to Hamas. It went to Houthis. It went to Hezbollah. Think about how the Iranians basically funded all of those IEDs, basically their technology that was used to kill and maim Americans in Iraq. We forget this stuff. This is a real threat. This is not a fake threat. We're so used to fake threats getting so much attention in the establishment media. You forget that there are actually some real threats out there, and one of them is Iran. I'm not saying that I was excited about this thing when it happened, but if Trump is going to take this approach that he's willing to lay out markers, and if you're not willing to negotiate, then he will bomb you while you sleep in a strategic fashion when he's got the best intelligence, he's got the best timing, and he's trying to wrap this thing up before you even wake up, before you even know that there's been a war. That's the goal. Now, Iran's a bigger target than we've seen in the past, so it's not going to be quite that simple, but God willing, it can be pretty close to that. Some other sound that I feel like is essential here is to get a sense of where the left is at on this, but also where the never Trump crowd is, the people who are Trump deranged. And one of the new Trump deranged characters I think that's worth elevating at this point is Marjorie Taylor Greene, former alleged Trump ally who's become very, very nuts and is completely lost her moorings, I think. I want to play cut 2. There is an F-bomb here, guys, so be prepared with your little dump button, they call it here in the radio business. I think it's on the Megyn Kelly show. Let's play this.
What is happening to the man that I supported, you supported, the man that denounced what happened in Iraq, the man that said no more foreign wars, no more regime change, promised it on the campaign. JD Vance promised it. Tulsi Gabbard promised it. All of them promised it. And we're a year in, and we're in another fucking war, and we've got American troops being killed. I think it's time for America to rip the Band-Aid off, and we need to have a serious conversation about what the is happening to this country and who in the hell are these decisions being made for, and who is making these decisions.
It doesn't sound like a very serious argument to me. It just sounds like an angry woman just swearing on a podcast. You know who does that sort of stuff? Kind of reminds me of this blast from the past. Tell me if you recognize this actress and a fitness coach. Let's play cut 4, please, guys.
This dangerous and insane war against Iran not only violates international law and our Constitution, but risks exploding into a vast war of mass proportion. taking the lives of many, including U.S. service people. It is yet again another war based on false information. I truly believe that enough people in this country have learned the lessons of the Vietnam War, of the Iraq War, the war in Afghanistan, and the other unnecessary and illegal wars.
So there you go. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now sounds like Hanoi or Tehran Jane. These people are basically taking the line of the Ayatollahs, a fascist theocratic regime. And it's gone Trump to make this thing go fast, or else we can't prove these people right. But they sound completely nuts as of now, and I think that's an edge Trump has.